I think the hardest part of drawing birds is getting the shape of the head right. I always end up having to fix it quite a lot, but this one was not too bad. So starting out, of course, I drew the eyes, make sure you leave room for the highlights, become very repetitive when it comes to that. But drawing this bluebird, there's a mixture of blues happening, and it's a lot of deep, rich blues and a little bit of some purples as well. So use some violet colors as well as some more of those lighter periwinkle colors. And if you pay attention, there is a little bit of an orange tint underneath all those layers. So I wanted to apply that to really enhance those features. I also used a mineral spirit oil to help blend all the colors together. That way it makes it a lot easier to build up more layers as well as make it more dense. If you're struggling to get a more completed look in your portraits, my suggestion is just keep building up those layers. If you don't have anything to blend with, just do your best with the color pencils that you have. But I do highly suggest getting mineral spirit oil. You can get it on Amazon as well, but it's super helpful to use, especially if you're using watercolor paper. But continuing on, so the beak here, there's not a whole lot to it, but you can see the angle of the mouth in between. You definitely want to make sure it's not going completely straight. It kind of has a curve that's curving down. And then right around the neck, there's a lot of that gold color. So there's going to be a variety of like a burnt sienna color and then a little bit of some like burnt orange colors blended in there. And then pay attention to where it's lighter and darker in some of these areas, because that'll actually help you create a better contrast. And then you can use a white color pencil or just a lighter color pencil in general over the top of all these layers. And what that does is it lightens it up a little bit more as well as blends it a little bit better. If you're interested in more helpful tips and tricks, definitely go down in the description and subscribe to my email list. Weekly, I send out helpful tips and tricks through email, so you can definitely check that out. I also have many online classes that are all at your own pace, so you can just play your pause at your leisure. All the links for those are in the description below. I also have a full-length program where you can learn to draw your own pet portraits. If you haven't noticed by now, I am drawing in the direction of the little feathers, like the feather texture that you can see. So it's kind of curving around in almost a balloon shape on the right hand side and then curving down more inwards on the left hand side. I also use an electric eraser to create those little dotted features on the left hand side. That way I can incorporate some of that the orange tones in there. And then of course you could see that mineral spirit oil really created a nice smooth blend with everything. So the trick to that oil is to make sure that you have plenty of layers first before you apply it. If you're nervous about learning to draw or just beginning, that's completely okay. I actually was pretty nervous as well, and most of my first few portraits, they were pretty bad, at least in my opinion. But over time, as I started to enjoy the process and enjoy playing around with different colors, I understood proportions a little bit better as well as color theory. It just became second nature. So that's something that you'll end up learning as you keep drawing over and over again. You can make it a daily habit, you can make it a weekly habit, but the more often you draw, even if it's in short time spans, the more you're going to learn from it. I also use a slice tool to kind of create some of those more detailed textures in the feathers. I don't always use it, but for this case, it actually worked out really well. Birds are definitely difficult to draw because the wings can really be heavily detailed, to say the least. So when I draw birds, I like to kind of draw them in bigger portraits because the wings really do require a lot more detail, and the smaller you draw, the harder it is to draw those details. So for this one, you could see I worked with the black first to create those patterns first, and as I pretty much as a guideline. And then I started to draw the rest of it in colors. And I'm still using those as a guideline while incorporating a little bit of that feathered texture effect. And I'm still using these colors before I use the mineral spirit oil. Now that I've used it, I did avoid some of the white areas because I really want those to be bright white. I'll even enhance a little bit more by using a white color pencil. And then I'll go back over with darker pencils to sharpen it up a little bit, because sometimes it gets a little bit bleeded through, especially if you're using the mineral spirit oil. And that's okay, because you should be able to go back in and either erase it a little bit, or use a slice tool, or just use lighter colored pencils or darker colored pencils to really sharpen it up. Each one of my videos, I try to make it as simple of an explanation as possible, because I really want all of it to be beginner friendly. That way, everybody that thinks that they cannot draw actually has a chance to be able to try it out. I don't want to come off as intimidating. I really want everybody to think and understand and start to have the confidence that, oh, maybe I can actually draw this too. Because a lot of my students that I've had in previous classes, they didn't think so either. But then when they actually did take the class and tried it out, the results were quite surprising for not only me, but them as well. And they really thanked me later on for being able to explain each step and make it easy for them. So now you can tell we've got a lot more detail going on. So we're just going to move on to the rest of these sections. Now I like to work section by section because, first of all, it makes me feel more accomplished. If I've got one section done, then I can move on. But the best part is you can go back and adjust it as you complete other sections. So the very tail here, there's a lot of dark blue happening. So I kind of went through that pretty fast, but there's not a whole lot of detail, luckily. And then the belly part is one of my favorite parts because it really has a lot of vibrant colors going on. And I think it really just starts to make the bird look more complete. And honestly, in just about every bird that I've drawn. So in this part, you can see I'm using a blend of orange tones, a little bit of some browns as well, a little bit of some burnt sienna, and then also a white color pencil to create the highlight illusion, a little bit of some highlighted effects in there. And then the underbelly has more white to it. So I'm not using a lot of colored pencil. I'm just kind of using a pale blue, a little bit of some black in there to enhance some of the darker features. And then I'm still using mineral spirit oil just with a smaller paintbrush. And then the claws, there's not a whole lot of detail, but you can see that there's little curved lines. And all I did was just draw that and add a little bit of some orange tones. And then usually there's some sort of stick, branch, or whatever that the bird is perching on. So I like to draw that part too. Now, wood is actually super easy and it looks really realistic towards the end. So you just want to focus on where's the sun coming in on, where's the highlights happening in this, and then work on that. And then you can add a little bit of some darker texture in the areas that you can see where it's dark, especially underneath the bird itself. Just use a mix of gray browns, black, a little bit of some light blue for the highlighted features. And that's pretty much it. So if you really like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And also subscribe to my email list if you are interested in learning more tips and tricks. But thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.